And I just remember looking around the stadium like, all these people came here for me. And I'm getting my butt whooped. And the worst thing was, not only did they destroy us, as a player, you know when you're in a pool, which pool you cross with. And Kyle, I'll let you have this guess. Who do you think was waiting for us in the quarterfinals after that loss?
Serbia.
Well, there you go.
Novi Sad was waiting.
Damn Serbia again.
And just like that, we are back. This is the word on the street. Replace the E's with threes, your favorite podcast on 3x3. I'm your guy, the voice of 3x3, Kyle Montgomery. To my right is Bas Rozendaal. The mountain to my left is none other than the energy, Vince Chang. Had a great episode last week, fellas. Really enjoyed it. We got a lot of feedback from the fans on our Mount Rushmore and our future Hall of Famer discussions. We'll get to one of those fan comments later in the show. But this week, shout out to Vince for this one. He came up with this idea that we should share some unique stories about our time in 3x3, our favorite moments, games, scariest moments, podcast safe stories, I would say, because Bas, you know, when you're 3x3 old schooler, some aren't podcast proof, so to speak.
Yeah,
right.
We might have to leave some names out, but I'm sure we can get to some stories and tell them in a semi decent manner.
Yeah, Bas, you've been around 3x3 even longer than me, and I've been at it for a decade. And Vince, you've been at it for a good while too. So I think from the three of us, we have accumulated some pretty good stories. Vince, you kind of play point guard on this whole topic. So where you want to start, man?
We're gonna start because as the young man, sitting just like finally be accepted to the adults table. You guys keep saying it was a wild, wild west when 3x3 was first started. And I'm like, all right, so maybe we should share some things that maybe people would like a little more context to. So we're going to start on a high note. I want to start on a high note. Bas, I'm going to kick it to you. What was your highest moment? And yours going to be a twofer. Highest moment as a player playing 3x3 and then transition to be commentating your highest moment on that.
All right. I can go a couple ways here, but let me keep it simple. I think as a player, for me, it has to be the World Cup 2017 in Nantes, and not the finals. I won a silver medal, but you don't win a silver medal. You lose the gold. You get in second place. No, so that's not a wonderful moment. You're there. You lost the game. You're pissed off, like you wanted the gold and you didn't get it. But I'd say in that run, winning the semifinals and having that sense of, man, we fucking did it. Like that,
yeah.
That's just it. Like we fucking did it.
Yeah.
And again, and Kyle, you know this, like we weren't like a top contender or anything in the field. Like we were a decent team. We'd get some good results, but we weren't like a perennial winner. We that was like our second time getting a good run in at a national team tournament. The first medal was the year before at the Europe Cup. But I personally wasn't even a part of that Europe Cup team. So I just remember winning at semifinals and just kind of being in disbelief after the buzzer sounded, and just, all the other guys are screaming, and I remember just kind of standing there and just taking it all in and thinking, wow, we fucking did it. Like that's so I think that must be one of my highest moments as a player, as a commentator. I mean, I know Kyle's going to come up with his phone screen again with the Homer Simpson and all, but like, I mean, I didn't even commentate on these games, but bro, the Olympic win for the Dutch.
Yeah.
I think the one where I was at was probably like the Olympic qualifier that they won to get to the Olympics. Where I was able afterwards to go out and talk to the fellas right away. That was wonderful.
That's pretty dope.
Bas, what about your first World Tour final that you did with me?
Okay.
So all right, that's good. I'll change this. I'm not even going to go World Tour finals.
Okay.
So I think I told the story on how I kind of rolled into commentating, where I did some stuff for Dutch TV as the odd man out on a World Cup team. Then, I got put on with Kyle at the World Cup Under-23 in Lanzhou for a couple of minutes only, and I liked it. And I was like, all right, cool. And then I remember from 3x3 Nights, we organized a challenger in 2020 in Utrecht, our first ever challenger tournament. And, I had to host that by myself.
Okay.
Now, mind you, I don't have any broadcasting experience. I'm not schooled in this. I'm not versed in this. I've tried it a couple of times, and my colleagues just go, and one of my colleagues, Jesper Jobs, obviously a former player, he just goes, "Your English is the best out of all of us, so you better host this." And I started looking at like how long a tournament is, and I'm like, how the hell am I supposed to talk through 16 hours of games? Like, how? And then, look, they paired me up with a great dude, Matthijs van der Beukel, shout out. Like, he sat with me, and we kind of just talked through the whole thing. And I remember afterwards, I was dead tired. Like, you don't understand. Like, this takes something out of you. Commentating, like, my social battery was on minus 100. I was done. I was cooked after the tournament. And I sat there, and I was like, I just did this. You know what I'm saying? Like, and those are great moments to me where you just realize, like, something you've done and that it's really something cool, like a step maybe in your career, or, just a big moment in itself. So I think that's the one. I mean, first World Tour Finals came up pretty soon afterwards because, guys, you remember, they invited me out.
Yep.
The next year, I believe. But this was the one where I was like, okay, all right, this could be something.
Got your feet
I
wet.
think, yeah, go ahead. My bad, Vince.
No, you're right, because, like, I'm a commentator as well, but I do like stand-up comedy. Kyle's been doing it since God knows, like since they created a microphone. It wasn't even a microphone. It was like a piece of string that
Come
just
on,
had
Vince.
like...
Now, I'm that old.
I don't know.
You firing strays up me, Vince?
Yo, man, there's some probably recordings on 8-tracks on you, brother. But the point is, people don't realize, even when you're talking, that's exhausting. But then when you're like watching a game, you're using another part of your brain, and you get exhausted on all aspects of it. So they think, oh no, you're just doing what you love. You don't understand. When you're done, you don't want to talk to nobody, and everyone wants a piece of you after. Especially Bas, you're 7 feet, and then you commentate, and then you stand up. They go, we got to interview this guy. You're like, I will kick you right now if you ask me a question. And that's a lot. And Kyle, you can speak on this more than anybody because you commentate for hours, for years at a time. And just go. But go to you, like, highest moments in your show.
Yeah. Before Bas came and saved the day, I was doing the broadcast, the World Tour, and the national competitions and the Continental Cups. Dolo.
Yeah.
At one time, we would have, guest commentators, and Bas came on for that and several other players. But my love for the game helped kind of carry me through those days because I was engaged. I was like a fan who just happened to have a microphone in front of him.
Facts.
And I was allowed to talk that shit like I like to talk my shit on the microphone. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So they were long and tiring days. Make no mistake, especially those like a World Cup. You're talking about 20 games a day for the first 4 days.
Bro,
96 games. Okay. Yes, but now I got Bas, so so now it's smooth sailing. But I got a couple highs.
Mm-hmm.
One of my highest moments in 3x3 was when we got the announcement that 3x3 would officially be a part of the Olympics. That was the goal when I first took the job. They told me that we were aspiring to make this into an Olympic sport. We had no idea at that time whether or not that was going to come to fruition. And I'll never forget, we always shout out Julian DeBove because he's always watching. But Jules is my brother, man. Jules and Jules broke the news to me, and I was overwhelmed, man. I was proud because I felt like 3x3 was almost my baby too. Yeah. And it was like seeing it take that next step from a small niche group of people who believed in this sport and believed in this game and dared to dream that it could become Olympic. And damn it, it did. That was one of the highest highs that I felt in 3x3. And the second one was a more personal high for me. It was, one of the things that 3x3 provided was an opportunity to travel the world and see countries and places that I had never seen before. And one of the places that I really enjoyed was Prague. I thought that the way the city was put together with the Prague Castle high on the hill, and you go over Charles Bridge, it looked like something pictures you would see in a storybook. And I said, man, you know what? It's my job as a father to expose this to my children. I want to show them the world in the way that their father sees it, and I hope that this experience internationally gives them some culture, allows them to try the food, to listen to people speak a different language, to see cobblestone streets for the first time. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I was able to bring my son and my daughter to Prague one year. I want to say maybe 2018 or so, and they ate some pork knuckles, and we went in the basement and saw medieval times, sword clashing, and I mean.
Did they shoot a bow?
They didn't shoot a bow there, but they did shoot. But they had done it before. But for me, that was another one that was really my high of highs. So those are my two.
I mean, that's another thing, because we haven't talked about how kids come in a factor in 3x3, because you two are fathers. And thank you so much for your service, because I do think you guys need a Purple Heart, because I'm an uncle, I'm a provider adjacent, and I'm going, I gotta do this every day. No, pull
full
out.
Time.
No, I'm telling you, I'm gonna be straight
Strap
like
up.
Big Dreesen, and every time getting that jump ball and saying nope, put one foot out to end, to stop it. But on the flip side to you, like this one I have right here, this jersey I got is signed by nearly half the staff at NBC at the Olympics. And I remember going around and like you hearing it's official Olympic sport, me being part of it, I was like, oh, this, I can't help but continue this journey with 3x3. So those are great moments, but I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but now I want to hear your lowest moments. And Kyle, I want you to start, like a lowest moment in 3x3. What did it make you feel? Where were you? And what was happening? Because I see Bas right now is scratching his head.
Well, I've had some highs and I've had some lows.
Okay. Don't we all?
All right. In 10 years.
Something water.
Okay. Let's see. So I am a bit of a perfectionist, and I hate messing up names.
Okay.
You want to work on it, but I mess up names all the time. It's hard to pronounce a lot of them, but I try to work on it. There was one player in particular. Last year, we were in Romania, in Constanța.
Okay.
And I kept calling the dude the wrong name throughout the entire game. I would say his name properly like twice, and then I would go back to saying the wrong name, and it just so happened that the name I was calling him was a player on the other team.
Oh boy.
Bro. Bro. Come on.
He came up to me at the hotel later that night, and he says, "Voice, man, I'm a big fan of yours, man. I've been watching you for years, man. I when I was younger, I couldn't wait until you called my games. But you called me the wrong name the whole game." It just crushed me. I just said, "Oh, I'm so sorry, bro. I'm so sorry, man."
You can't share the name?
No, because
okay, all right. I'm just gonna ask.
I could, but I can't remember it.
Yo.
I'm sorry.
Hey, Kyle, though, in your defense, man, those names are hard. Do you remember World Cup, last year when Madagascar played? Those names. Yo,
well, Vince got those. But, Bas, Vince got those Madagascar names.
I did too. They challenged us, and I got it out 8-9 times, and now I'm okay with them. But those names are wild, bro.
No, it's too much.
17 syllables.
They too long. That's
a
way.
Rainbow Manita, and I love them. But you got me. There's only one guy that always got in my mind. Moritz Land. If you remember this guy, the other one is like Arnold Schwarzenegger. So that's what I'm gonna say. It's like Arnold Schwarzenegger, but it's like Landnagger, but if you
Yes.
said it,
Oh, yeah.
was like,
Look at Boz's face.
yeah, I was like, I am not saying this at all because during the Olympic qualifiers, and I remember calling him on Instagram, going, "How do I pronounce your name?" And he says, "It's Landonegger." I say, like, so
Yeah.
just like that. He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, I don't think we're gonna
Yeah.
be calling you that on.
There was,
I may or may
On a
not have
regular
had a run-in
basis.
with that name.
yes. But it's not just names. Some of my other lows have been bars, try to be creative and always pushing the line in my position. I'm always trying to take it. And there's been a couple, man, that I wish I could take back. Just trying to be creative and funny. And there was one time, we may have to edit this out, but I think it might have been Grabo or somebody, and they jumped like way up on this dunk. And I said, he went up like Viagra. And then as it came out of my mouth, I said, oh, I shouldn't, that one I probably I shouldn't have said that one. I was expecting to get some emails.
Yep.
Okay, major pause. Major pause.
That'd be one of those moments in the broadcast. I'd just be
You'd be like,
looking sideways, like, what?
But come
what?
on, you get the tie, like, come on. But that would be one. And let's see. Oh, this low. We were in Prague once again. And this was one of those days where we had the qualifying draw super early in the morning.
Yeah.
And the main draw didn't start until 5 p.m. Later in the day. So the qualifying draws are like 11.
Yeah.
And we got 3 games. So we're done with the qualifying draw by, say, 12:30. So the middle of the day, and by this time I've been to Prague many times, so I wasn't going to go out in the city and do much. I just wanted to get some rest. And I end up taking a nap. I could have swore I set my alarm. And I conk out. I am dead. Next thing I know, I'm hearing somebody beating at the door. I'm get up in a panic, like, what the heck? I look at the phone, and it's 6 minutes past the start of check ball.
Whoops.
For the main draw. I'm like, yo, what is what happened to my alarm? What happened to my alarm?
I remember watching this tournament.
What happened to my
I
alarm?
remember watching that. I remember sitting there like, what the hell's the commentary at?
Yo.
Like, technical issues? Come on
Man.
now.
And it was one of the officials, Alex Talasainen. And he says, Kyle, everybody's been calling you. I'm like, so it turns out my phone was on silent, which still shouldn't prevent the alarm, but whatever. I just got up. We rushed over to the venue. I got there in time for game number 2, but that's the second time that I've ever missed the start of any game in 3x3. The other time was it was the second time. The only other time was in Beijing where I had a flight delayed. And at the world, that one, but that one, that one's a blemish. So those are my lows. Those are my lows.
You guys, do you remember which exactly tournament that was? Because you were probably like, where's the voice, Bas?
No, yeah, I do. Because, I remember watching from home because the fellas were playing, and I was like, all right, let me tune into this tournament. Because I usually watch pretty much everything. Yeah. And I turned it on, and the first game came on. And usually when there's technical issues or difficulties, they'll pause the tournament, and they won't play. And in this one, they just started, and there was no sound. And I was like, I can hear the ball bouncing. I can hear all the other stuff, the birds tweeting and stuff, but I can't hear Kyle. What's good? So, yeah, I do remember this. Now that you've talked about it. It was in the castle, too, wasn't it? Yes. It was the one that was held in the castle in Prague.
Oh, nope, wow. Actually, it was down.
Wenceslas Square still?
Nope. Wenceslas Square is where this was the new location in front of the,
Yeah. Okay, yeah,
I forget the name of that building, but yeah, I was watching the back of my eyelids while you was watching the games. I was
you old man back then.
Not proud of that moment. Thanks, Vince, for that topic. I appreciate that topic from you.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
I like that.
I love you too. Bas, what about you, man?
So for me, I'll distinguish in all of these questions, whether I'm going to take this from a player point of view or from a commentator point of view. This one's from a player point of view because as a commentator, I've pretty much just enjoyed a lot of it. I haven't had, the sleep-ins and all that.
This one's for you, boss.
Oh, there you go.
And it's not the middle finger, just so y'all know. It's the third one.
It's still a little crooked. That's a little crooked from that arthritis that's kicking in.
Hey. All right. It's on now.
All right, I can play this game too. Anyway, no, look, for me, this one is from a player perspective, right? We had just won the silver medal at the World Cup in Nantes. The country went wild. Second medal in 2 national team events. And at this point, the Dutch Federation had pulled some strings and we reorganized the Europe Cup at home. So we're playing a first ever home tournament. I had never done this, right? So again, obviously I've played 3x3, in Amsterdam, in the cities in the Netherlands, but this isn't it's not national team stuff. This is just a tournament. We've played challengers before as well, but those were still low key. So Europe Cup, they host this at the Museumplein, which is this dead center in Amsterdam. It's huge. They have all these things around it.
Love Museumplein.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
And there's so much stuff going on around the games for me personally, and I think for all the Dutch players, they wanted to do interviews, documentary style stuff, people asking us for tickets. The circus kind of went on and on and on, and it's something I'd never experienced before. So we get into pool play. We're in a pool, and I remember this well. We were playing Turkey and Ukraine. And Turkey, not to be disrespectful, but they are not a great team. These fellas only show up for national team events. You never see them. And this is a team we were supposed to... No, exactly. This is a team we're supposed to run off the court. Yeah. And I remember playing, and I was like, this isn't going as smoothly as I want it to go. We're not playing well. What's happening? The offense wasn't flowing. There was some nerves. Everybody's watching. There's the stadium's huge. It was at the time the biggest stadium in 3x3. I remember 1,200 people or something. It was pretty big. Anyway, we win that first game 21-17, which is for us to play Turkey that should be an automatic 21-11, 21-10 at this stage. Yeah. Especially coming out of a World Cup silver medal, right? But, we had a bullseye on our backs, and then we play Ukraine. And at the time, and Kyle, you might remember this, those guys had a damn squad. They had a squad.
Really?
Yes, they did. And they medaled at the World Cup. I think they took a bronze.
They medaled at this Europe Cup, dude.
At that Europe Cup, but I think the World Cup, too. Timofey something. But
Timofeyenko. Timofeyenko.
Yes.
Big dude.
Yes,
and he was strong as an ox. They had a guy named Kobets. Kobets was a guard.
Kobets was nice too.
He was a flamethrower.
Yep, and they had the redhead too.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I remember his name. But look, these guys, they were tough. They were gritty, and they destroyed us, bro. In front of our home crowd, they just killed us, 21-12. And I remember just at some point during that game, I was gassed. I was out of breath. Something in 3x3 as a game, the game's only 10 minutes. When the momentum is not with you, especially because it's a 10-minute sprint, you don't recover as fast somehow.
Mm-hmm.
So as you are down, you get more down because you're more tired than the other team. You don't have as much positive energy. They do, so they start rolling. You don't, and you can't find any solution, so you kind of feel like you're drowning at some point. And I just remember looking around the stadium all these people came here for me, and I'm getting my butt whooped. And the worst thing was, not only did they destroy us, as a player, when you're in a pool, which pool you cross with. And Kyle, I'll let you have this guess. Who do you think was waiting for us in the quarterfinals after that loss?
Serbia.
Well, there you go.
Novi Sad was waiting.
Damn Serbia again. So we knew we had to win that game to avoid Serbia. Obviously, we lose. Then we play Serbia in the quarterfinals, and this is the Serbian squad with Dusan Majstorovic, Dusan Buludeja Majstorovic, and Marko Savic, as well as, and again, you might remember this, Kyle, Mijatovic.
Oh, yeah,
Mijatovic was a big dude with touch. He was very, very good.
Yeah.
And those guys, and Dusan wasn't even that good in the game against us, so we played that quarterfinal, obviously, at home in front of the crowd. Dusan had 5, Majstorovic had 5, Savic had 0. Mijatovic, and again, I'm his main guard. He had 12. So out of 21 points, the guy had 12. I got destroyed on seals. He just killed me, dude. And again, this is in front of my home crowd. So as far as lowest emotional moment, like, and to top it off, just to top it off, I'll go one more. To top it off, and look, we're always rooting, obviously, for the other genders team. Like so the girls Dutch team, like we're rooting for them and stuff. If you're at home and you don't win, you want them to win, but you kind of also don't.
Yeah.
Right? Because if
they win, it makes you look even worse.
And,
right?
And guess what? They won a bronze medal there. So
yeah.
You know, it was the trifecta. And again, I was very happy for the girls to be winning that medal. Obviously, I don't want to take anything away from that, but just for me personally, like,
it's bitter.
My goodness, no, not a lot of fun there.
That's
okay.
Ouch. But to get spanked
that was
like
painful.
that from like a not very known Serbian team, because they are the Avengers. Ooh, now did you get dunked on that squad? Okay.
I don't think I ever got dunked on in 3x3. Nope.
Yeah, I was trying to think. I don't think I've ever seen Bas get dunked on.
Nope.
I don't think
people have tried, but nope.
I've seen Bas getting blown by on the perimeter. But
that was a very common sight back in the day.
But I haven't seen anybody go over the top of the mountain.
No.
I haven't seen nobody climb the mountain.
You ever touched the Earth Mountain?
No, I was smart enough to keep my distance and then either get blown by or just, get shot over. So, no, I never got my ankles broke. I think the most embarrassing moments for me in that sense were like when you're 7 foot tall and you weigh a bunch and you post up a very small player. Like I think we talked about this last show. Like Marko Zdero for Serbia. Like he's strong, but he's short. Like I'm 213. He's probably about 185 at most. And if you get the ball and everybody's just expecting you to try to get something on him and you dribble and he just kind of pushes you farther away from the basket and you're like, wait, what? What just happened?
Because you're supposed to be the bully. In that scenario, you're supposed to be the bully.
Yes. So that I think from just a pure playing perspective, that might also be one of those lower emotional moments where you're like, nah, that's not happening. Let me pass out of this.
Some good stories just to start it off. Okay, I'm curious because these are the light questions. There's some heavier questions.
I got some more.
Well, hold on. See, Bas is getting a sip. Well,
cheers.
If we're gonna get into the tough questions, then I guess we should all.
Or not just yet, because I still want to keep some momentum. You two now have been commentating for some years, and this also could be as a fan as well. As one of the greatest games you ever seen that most people may not remember. What pops in your head for greatest game for 3x3?
Well, the greatest games, I mean, we've had so many. I mean, when you go through the Latvian-Serbian rivalry and the back and forth between the game winners from Mijezis and Majstorovic, on the World Tour, we've had so many great classic clashes, particularly between Lehman and Novi Sad and Riga and like the Slovenians, you throw them in there as well. But I think the most memorable games for me, most people remember them because they were so iconic. The one that stood out for me was the 2017. I tell the story all the time when people ask me this, but one of a couple was when the United States, and they had Alfonso McKinney and Mike Henry and Stefan Hanna on that squad.
2016.
16. That's right. That's right. We were they had taken the league by storm. I think that World Championship was in Guangzhou, China, actually.
Exactly.
And there was a lot of buzz about that American team beating Serbia because people were waiting for the Americans to come on. They were like, oh, yeah, y'all good, and y'all got Dusan Bullet. But when Mike Henry and them was coming, they was throwing no-look oops and throwing it through people's legs, and McKinney was putting his back into it on people's heads. It was like he was doing a jerk, Vince. He was
that man was he could jump. It was
crazy.
It was a problem.
But they went into that final against Serbia. Serbia ended up pulling ahead. It was pretty close. I think 15-15 at one point, or 12-12. Serbia ended up pulling ahead by 3 late.
Yeah.
And Dusan Bullet hits the game winner right corner, right wing, and immediately goes to the Serbian section of the crowd, and they're just going crazy. He's just pumping his chest like this, and they're embracing him in the crowd. And at that moment, I was only a year into 3x3, so I couldn't really identify with the culture and the passion or didn't even really know a whole lot about Serbia. But I tell you what, I gained so much respect that moment in that tournament resonates with me to this day, because like they were technically the giants.
Yeah.
But it was like they had slayed the giant, because they knew that everybody expect those high flying Americans to come and kick their ass. Period. And I'll be honest, I thought they were gonna kill them. I said, "Yep, this is it for Serbia." Forget about it. And when I saw Dusan in that crowd doing like this, I couldn't help but respect that man. I couldn't help but respect that country. I couldn't help but respect the resolve, man, the toughness, the seizing of the moment. That's why I felt like that guy and that team, those players, they got the heart of champions. Like that wasn't an easy task. They could have folded. They won. They won that game. So that game certainly would be one of them.
Mm-hmm. Can I get a couple notes in on that game?
Yes, please. Go ahead, Bas.
Yes. All right, let me first start by saying I played that U.S. squad. I think we lost to them 15-11 or something. But guess who dunked on Mike Henry?
You did?
Did you get
dunked
one?
on Mike Henry?
Did you get one on Mike Henry?
On Mike Henry?
I got, but it was. I mean, I'll send you the video after. We might be able to cut it in here.
Okay,
yeah.
Get that clip.
It was a baby dunk, but
clip.
I did get him. Anyway,
okay, on Mike Henry.
Okay.
We did lose to the fellas though, and again we ran into Serbia once again in the quarterfinals, as you do. But so again, I'm there for that final game, and I remember during the game thinking this is just a wild clash of styles, right? Serbia was playing their methodical, ball screen heavy style of offense. The Americans were just all over the place, athletic, one-on-one breakdowns. Stefan Hanna, we're talking Alfonso McKinney was a jumper. Henry was a jumper, but Stefan Hanna was the one that made that team go. He was the one that broke down every individual defense by just creating one-on-one opportunities. But anyway, guess who was sitting in front of the Serbian fans in the crowd? Me.
Were you?
I am. So I'm in the crowd. I'm right in front of that Serbian fan section. They're like halfway up the stands, right? And Dusan runs in there. And look, as a player, you enjoy those moments, but you don't want to be in the moment.
Yeah.
And Dusan runs in there, and these guys are just falling over each other trying to get to Dusan, and I'm underneath them. So I'm in the crowd, and if you can still watch this video, like you can go back and watch the game, and you'll see me sitting there like this. And for the people that are listening right now, I'm shrunk. You can see me sitting there looking all kinds of salty because I'm not playing in the finals. I lost to the Serbians, and these guys are jumping on my back. So anyway, sorry to take the mic there.
No. That's good insight. The another game when I think back over the years that stood out to me. I talk a lot about the World Tour final with the fireball. Mm-hmm. From the Dragon, I think that was 17. That was 17.
Yeah.
But that's not the game. I'm gonna go to a bronze medal game.
Ooh. Oh, I remember this one. I know where you're going with this too.
You know where I'm going because it was in the dam. It was in the dam.
Damn.
And it was Poland. And Michael Money in the Bank Hicks.
Yep.
Serbia just wasn't a thorn in the side for the Dutch. They were a thorn in the side for everybody.
Everyone.
Like, Poland could never beat them. And I remember talking to Hicks earlier in the day, and he was extremely confident they were going to find a way to finally. His goal was to beat Serbia, and he wanted Dusan. Mm-hmm. I think in order to be the best, you got to beat the best. And I'm not saying that he is the best, but I liked how, a lot of people look at Hicks as a showboat, flashy, shit talking, and he is that too. Make no mistake about it. But he's also a student of the game, and he has a high basketball IQ. Like he's a cerebral player, believe it or not. And he told me some of the things that they were gonna do to win. But anyway, y'all got to check the highlights out of this game. It was incredible. So
wild.
so Serbia ends up having to play for the bronze. I believe they lost to Latvia. Yeah, Latvia, right? So they're already pissed. They got to play for the bronze because they go for gold, and they go up against Poland, and Hicks absolutely goes bananas in the game. Yet the game was still close, right? The game was close. He was balling. He was putting the team on his back, right? He ends up hitting one of the most incredible fall away twos. The dude is almost horizontal with the ground, falling away, and he's fouled. With time running down, hits the go-ahead two ball. And some might say his foot was on the line, but we're not going to talk about that one because he goes to the free throw line, hit it anyway. And Poland wins their first bronze medal at the World Cup, and they do it up that place. It was iconic. And I know we throw that word around a lot.
Yeah.
But this was one of the most iconic moments I have ever seen in 3x3. It was unbelievable. The atmosphere. You would think that the Dutch were Polish. The way that they went. No, honestly, the way they were crazy in that crowd, man. They knew that they were watching something in that moment that was really special, and it was done by a legend and something that you might not see again. That one is also way, way up there for me.
It's so interesting you say that because, like you said, Serbia is always a thorn in everyone's side, but they're kind of like the Patriots or that team. Like, I'm a Cowboys fan.
Great example.
It doesn't matter what the opposite team is, as long if there's that there, we're all together. It's like, okay, you're playing against Serbia. Oh, you're Dutch or you're French. Whatever. No, we all hate Serbia together, and it's incredible to say. You said you would have thought the Dutch were Polish. How excited they were to see that team go down. And that's what you love about sports. You come together with a common hate for somebody.
Yeah. Okay, now that I think about it.
That hate out here, and in 3x3, we're still nice about that. That common hate here in Europe, often results in some physical altercations. I know you guys are from the United States of America, so people are nice to each other out there. But
well, Bas, I'm learning the politics of Europe, and I think everybody hates everybody over here. Like, as soon as you cross that border, they don't like them, and they don't like them, and they don't like them, and that's just the way it works. But man, I could go on and on and on. There's other incredible games. We be talking all night on this podcast. Though.
Then Bas,
I got a few still.
Go ahead, Bas. What you got?
All right, I got two, and I'll keep the first one short because it's memorable, but it's not a great game. Okay. But it was memorable to me. I played at the Chengdu Challenger in, I want to say, 2017 or 2018, I think. 18 this was. Mind you, the game at this stage is still very, very, very young and also very physical. It was wrestling back then. You could hold, grab, throw. It didn't matter if referees wouldn't call, especially out in Asia.
Bite,
Asian,
DDT.
Oh, my goodness.
Stone Cold Stunner.
Yes.
Off the top
Asian,
rope.
I'll tell you, man, and this is they've cleared this up, but the referees out in Asia just didn't blow their whistle at all. And we knew this. So we're coming on in the quarterfinals. We're supposed to be playing Kranja, and the game before us is Liman versus Belgrade. Now this obviously Liman, Belgrade, they know each other very well, both from Serbia, and this game is a full-on war, and it gets to overtime. And I remember this game because I was standing in the tunnel waiting to come on the court. It gets to overtime with these fellas. And this is Stefan Str33ts, Vasic, Kojic, all the dudes. And they're playing a Belgrade squad that had Popovic on it, that had Boskovic on it, like common names for people that are, well-versed in old 3x3. Anyway, all these fellas are on the court. It's overtime. And the referees just say, we're not deciding this game. So they literally, take the whistles out of their mouths, and they don't blow them again.
Oh,
this overtime, and I kid you not, I watched this back. This overtime took, I want to say 8 minutes.
Damn.
And it was straight up dudes holding each other by the hip, literally, with two hands, and trying to play defense while moving with the guy that was dribbling. everybody was dead
Where
tired,
you going?
and they would just literally hug, hold, and referees just stood there and said, "You know what? Whoever wins this wins. We're
Forget
not
it.
blowing. We're not blowing a whistle. As both teams are in the bonus too. So a whistle blown would be two free
Two
throws
free
that would
throws,
decide
yeah.
the game.
Yeah.
So this overtime goes for 8 minutes, and I kid you not, I think Lehman won the game on a Stefan Stojic layup. He hits the shot. All 8 players, including the subs, so there's 6 players on the court and the 2 subs on the bench, just all fall over. Right on the spot. No one celebrates. No one celebrates. They're so tired. They just fall on the ground and lay there, and they can't move. So our game was delayed by another 5 minutes because they had to drag those guys off the court. But that was such a memorable moment to me. I was just like, I was cold, man. Like, you warm up before a game, and I stepped on the court, and I was ice cold.
It makes me wonder what's the longest game in 3x3.
This might be one of them.
Yeah, it's a long
This
one.
might be one of them.
I think one was 15 minutes. I think.
But anyway, so that was from a player perspective, and it wasn't even my own game, right? But from a commentating perspective, and Kyle, you might have rewatched this because it wasn't with you. I only did one under-23 World Cup in my life, Lublin, Poland. I did that whole beast by itself, and I did not know how difficult that tournament is. That is 92 games in a span of 5 to 6 days. You are there from 10 in the morning to 10 at night with only a couple of hours of a break.
Yes, indeed.
But then in this tournament, something happened in the pool that I will never forget, and it was on the ladies' end. It was Poland U23 versus Germany under 23. Poland had to win, and this is in front of their home crowd. They had to win. They had to beat Germany by a certain number of points, and they had to get to 22 points, which is still a possibility back then.
Mm-hmm.
Scoring 21 would not force a three-way tie in the pool. Scoring 22 would, if Germany were under a certain threshold, would force a three-way tie. And in case of that three-way tie, Poland still had an opportunity to get out of the pool. They know this, obviously. Players go into the game knowing this type of stuff. The game gets to the final kind of minute of play with Poland at 20 points. They have the exact lead they need on Germany. And they get a foul shot to get to 21. They have to miss it, right?
Yes, so they can get 22.
They have to miss it.
Yeah,
because they have to get to 22. Now, Germany's had 10 fouls, mind you.
Oh, my God.
Double penalty.
So Poland misses the free throw. They get the possession back, and this is with 30 seconds on the clock. Germany checks them the ball. They are at this point still safe, and they foul right away. So Poland gets put on the free throw line for 2 free throws. They miss both, and they get possession back. Germany checks the ball. They foul again. They check, foul right away. They put Poland back on the free throw stripe. They could have done this, and I kid you not, it was the last game of the day. They could have done this for probably the last 30 seconds of play. That would have taken like an hour, and Germany would have been through.
Yeah.
They would have went through. Because in case of a loss, Germany was out. In this 22-point, whatever the distance between the team was, that loss, Germany's out. One of the possessions, though, somehow they forget the foul. I don't know why. I don't know how they do this. But they give Poland a shot. And Alexandra Szymborska, the possession is all over the place. Because Germany's kind of chasing players down, trying to still get a foul in. Szymborska gets the ball on the left wing and just kind of jumps sideways. And you're talking about like being almost horizontal like Michael Hicks was. She was kind of like that too. Jumps sideways, chucks up a prayer, and that thing goes in. And they get the 22 points in front of their home crowd, knock out their neighboring country, Germany, and make sure they get through in the tournament. After their men's team, by the way, had been knocked out. That was my voice is still shot from that call. I was screaming.
Hey, that was a great call. That was a great call, by the way, Bas. Yeah, that was a great call.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, love that one.
You see, it's still hoarse, but
That's it. Them long days are crazy. And you can talk about how you had the under 23 night. The Olympic qualifiers, to me, when I was streaming on Twitch, it just didn't end. Like, it doesn't end some of these tournaments.
Yep.
And I remember Dejan Majstorovic, he actually had a side note with me when I was talking, and he was right next to you, Kyle, and he said straight up, Kyle, I don't know how you do it. Talk for that long about basketball. Like, no, I could never do that. So the flowers to both of you for pulling it through. I hope I get there one day, but I'll keep my MC energy going. But
Well,
The worst thing is, even if we get a break, like we usually still kind of talk hoops at some point.
that's a fact. But we love it though. We do love it. We do love it. But listen, people think that the job is all glamorous and you get to be travel and you get to be the mountain and the voice, and you have to be so locked in, and you can't really take games off, because for me, I always want to show respect to the players and the countries that are participating. I don't ever want a country to come and say, oh, when we play, the voice doesn't give 100%, or he doesn't sound the same, or he's not trying to be creative when we play. And, I don't ever want to be in a position where I make a country or a team feel disrespected. So I got to show up every game. And some games are very difficult to show up for, especially when they're 21-2. Or we've seen some ugly ones now, okay? But I'm just saying, we do it out of love, but it ain't easy. It ain't easy. It ain't easy.
Nah, and you know what? This is gonna translate my next question. Bod, you're gonna start this. Longest day. Now, we talked about longest day, how when it comes with the commentating, but I mean like a day that everything just is, you're not getting food on time, you got fans screaming at you, like, that kind of longest day. Give me that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's a couple here, but I'll say this. Days in 3x3 in general, especially as a player, are pretty long, right? And depending on kind of the amount of games you have. But if you are in the first and last game in the pool, you probably have like a 5-hour break in between.
Oh, that's crazy.
In pro tournaments, you can still go back to the room. Back in the days, those certain pro tournaments only had more teams to a pool. So you kind of had to stick around because the tournament was just way longer. Now, sticking around a gym full of sweaty men playing basketball or a court outside, usually not the best option. So what you do is you go into the city, you get a coffee, you chill out, you get some food, you get, take some of the sights, you don't do too much, and then you get back to the court on time to, perform. You maybe check the tournament out on your phone from a distance instead of, being around a bunch of dudes that smell like a bag of onions. Anyway, certain places, though, on the tour didn't have the luxury of you going anywhere. And one of the very best challengers in the history of 3x3 basketball was one of those spots. And look, I didn't mind going here, but the days were long. So back in the days, the Lipik Challenger, which is in kind of the northeastern part of Croatia, was the very best challenger tournament of the year. All the best teams would come here, and they would have 3 teams to a pool. But you'd get the Lipik by flying into Zagreb, taking probably a 3-hour drive, into this small village that's known for, I want to say, the fact that they grow apple trees. There's absolutely nothing there. There's one coffee spot. And that one coffee spot is filled with Serbians, also basketball players, obviously. But there's one coffee spot. You sleep in what I can only describe as a horror movie, like, hospital.
What?
But bro, like the iron beds, like with the springs that kind of come through the mattress, you share a shower with like 3 teams.
What?
And then
Pause.
Well, yeah.
Pause, but that's
It's
still
not really
like
a pause, but it's
Okay,
annoying. It's
never
like
mind.
you get in the shower in the morning and you see, Vasily Fedosov, the Russian bear, damn showering next to you. You're like, all right, that's
Hey.
not what I planned for.
Hey, bro, you missed a spot.
You need soap? Nigga, no, I'm good.
Get the back
Hand
of
me
your
that
ankles.
loofah. Hand me that loofah real quick. Appreciate you.
Anyway, look, I mean, and again, look, this just not to get down on the organizers, because again, they always got the very best teams to come out there. But I went out there one year, and again, first of all, we were in a tough pool, so we were done day one. I packed my bags and drove to Zagreb and went out there for a couple of days, just drank and tried to forget about the experience, because this small village, like, you're sleeping at school, and the worst thing about the day was the breakfast, because you'd come into the breakfast area, and usually when you're somewhere you get a buffet or you get, at least like, an omelet or a sandwich or something nice. These people gave me a dry piece of white bread toast with some butter, and then they were like, "You want honey or you want pate?" And I'm like, I'll take the pate then. Sure.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it. That's it, bro. And a banana maybe. And I made the mistake of saying I'll take the pate. And I don't know if you guys ever opened a can of cat food, but that is exactly what I got to put on my piece of toast. Then I had to go play some games and this was moved inside because of the weather. So it was a gym full of sweaty dudes. The coffee joint was so full of all of the Serbian players sitting there that I couldn't even get a spot, and like lost 2 games out of 3 and just went home, bro. I was done. So that's probably my longest day. And I loved going to Lipik because of the quality of the tournament and the quality of play, but the surrounding facilities were less than ideal.
Shout out to Lipik. We have respect for you, but that's a personal experience. But a 7-footer just eating gluten.
No.
That's supposed to help you out the day.
No.
And listen, the Balkans, they don't play around. Like, they're not gonna make hospitality at a place like that number one priority. You get what you get,
and be happy.
and you better be happy with it.
No, and look, and if you go somewhere where that's the case, because sometimes you'll get to a spot where the food is different or the hospitality is not the same as you expect, but you go and get your own stuff. Like I'm a fix your own stuff type of dude, right? So yeah. I've been to tournaments that, I'll talk about one later, but where the food is not great, and I just went and picked up my own food. Like this town had nothing though, nothing. There was nothing there. I couldn't even get my own food.
Well, that's a hell of a day. I can only imagine, but you got to do it because you're a player. You got to get it done. But now on the opposite, Kyle, you traveled a lot of places. You've had long days. I got to hear your longest day because I've been with you when the equipment isn't there. We're using aux cords instead of Wi-Fi. We don't got a runner. So, what's one of your long days?
Oh, well, this won't be a long story at all. I'll just say my longest days are usually the World Cups. Because of the sheer amount of games, but also Bas can attest to this too, is that our days just don't start with the games. I'm texting Bas at 2:30 a.m. some nights, or 3 a.m. We're up taking notes. Preparing this for every team, every player. We're looking for trends, looking at the numbers from the previous tournament, looking at the season numbers. And then when you wake up the next day, you're finishing what you didn't finish the night before. So while the games may start at noon, we're getting started at 8:30 in the morning. We might get up and have a coffee together, and then you prep, and then you go. So the day starts at, let's say, 9. And you ain't going to be done till 11 p.m. So you do the math. We're talking about 14 hours. And that ain't just one day. That's going to be damn near every day for 5 days. At
the World Cup this year, because the national team events are the longest days in the sense that those have the most games. The World Cup this year, Kyle, is going to be 7 days.
Ooh.
7 days? I think FIBA needs some help. I think I can fly out for that one.
Hey. I'm cool with that, but they changed it because back in the day, when I was doing it solo, we didn't have the session breaks. We did 20 games straight through. There were no session breaks. But oddly, I think the session breaks, they give you a break, but they might make the days longer.
I need those. I need a session break, bro.
Don't say that.
No, don't do it. No. I need those.
We used to run straight through them, and it'd still be long. But now we take a 2-hour session break, and you cool down, and now you come back, and you got the second half of the day. Another 10. It's like another 10 games.
I need that Brental break. I need it.
Here's the thing. Everybody who's listened to this podcast, again, make sure you follow us on Word on the Streets everywhere. Here's the thing. You talk about a 10-minute sprint. I've seen this guy do 10-second sprints. Nature calls. And if there's no one, I have literally been on and Bas be going, hey, all of a sudden you just hear Kyle going.
Yep. I'm like, yo. I'm getting older, man. My bladder don't hold the same as it used to, man.
You
That's
just
a
hear
fact,
fumbling
man.
a microphone. You're like, and he's like, hey, yeah. You know what happened was, I went to
He
go get
tries to play it off so
Shang,
smoothly too.
yeah.
I ain't gonna lie, man. Sometimes I had to duck behind a couple of trash cans. I didn't make it all the way to the
I believe
official
it.
toilet, bro. I got a job to do. I just gotta real quick, look over there while I handle my business, man.
Bas can't hide. He just goes.
Oh, no.
And he got some
No,
people
there's-
say, you feeling something
Boz
wet?
can't hide, and Boz can't even fit in the stalls.
No,
So he
that's
can't
the
even get to the
worst.
porta potty.
No, the porta potties are the worst, bro. Like I'll be standing there ducking, like I can't even. No, nope.
And that's another thing I want people also know and give credit, because if you don't mind, I gotta share this. These two men prepare. One time I walked into Kyle's room and it was like an episode of CSI. Like he had every
All the
team,
papers.
every paper
Yes.
there. And I'm going, what are you doing? And he's like, Chang, you think I make this stuff up? Now leave me alone for 20 minutes. Like,
Hey.
I'm like,
Hey, this ain't hyperbole. Those is facts. Vince did come in. My room is a mess.
Oh, I know.
Papers. I got papers everywhere. I got
Vince-
this team over there and that team right here and this team right there. And I'm
Hey,
like,
you know what happens in the broadcast booth too?
just throwing the paper. Papers are gone. I know that.
The man
feeling.
just throws his stuff everywhere, bro. Everywhere, and it's on the ground. It's
Yes.
next to me.
but
I keep 4 spare pens, by the way.
But
Not
you
for me.
have to get rid of the teams that get eliminated, and
That's true.
and we have so many teams, and the press kit is so big. There's no way you can keep everything organized completely, especially when the wind is blowing.
That's true. Oh, we've had some problems with. I remember I was in Edmonton, and there was a gust, and you really thought I was Spider-Man. I was going, and Kyle,
My paper.
and I've seen Kyle too. Kyle gets like this. If you look, he gets close, and then he'll hold this like this. All right, here we go. Day on my Storovich is going, and he'll blow it. He'll go, and then also go. All right, Mr. Miyagi. Like,
Yeah, we
okay.
work around the elements, bro. I got my laptop rained on this year in Lausanne. I had to get a new one.
Oh,
mean,
yeah,
that-
you
that-
did. Dang, I didn't know that, boss.
Oh no. Now those get this, because now I want to hear about mishaps, and those we never know what's gonna happen. Like you said, it could be rain, it could be technical difficulties, it could be a delayed flight. I want to hear a mishap by you, maybe by the LOC or 3x3. All right, Kyle, I want you to start this because you probably got something juicy.
There was one mishap when, everywhere outside the States, Vince, they operate on the world clock. So
Yeah. Oh.
24. And there was one time where I confused a midnight flight for a noon flight.
Flight.
Right? And I'm supposed to be going over to China, and I show up at I think at midnight, which is 2400, not 12, which I thought it was. And I'm like, yo, where's my flight? It was like, sir, that flight left 12 hours ago. And I said, what? But it said 12. No, sir, that was, it's 2400. It's you completely missed the flight. Thankfully, FIBA came to my rescue for that. But here's one mishap I had no control over. And it was the worst luck ever. I had to go to Hyderabad, India. That was my tournament I was scheduled to go to the next morning. And to just, speed up the process to where I didn't have to, put stuff in the car. I can just jump in because I had to get up early. I put my bags in the trunk, my backpack in there, had my laptop. I even put my passport in the glove compartment. I just had everything in there. And little did I know, my son, I hate to be throwing my boy under the bus here, but it's not his fault. He went down to the car, apparently, and got something out of the back seat, didn't lock the car. The next morning, I get up, get ready to go to the airport to catch my flight to India, and I noticed that the glove compartment is open. I noticed that my backpack wasn't in the back. And it looked like it had been shuffled through. So I'm thinking, oh, it was my son. looking for whatever he was looking for and didn't put the stuff back. So I'm initially angry with him. I get in the car and I realize that, damn, my passport isn't here. My entire backpack is not here. I open up the trunk, and the luggage that I had packed is not there.
Whoops.
I'm supposed to be going to the airport to catch a flight to India within hours. So I'm completely panicking. I go and ask Makai, had he gone to the car? Did he lock it? He says no. Now I realize that somebody has broken into my car. So I have to call FIBA, apologize profusely. They had to find somebody to broadcast last minute. Go to the office of my complex, and sure enough, they caught a guy on video. I had to file a police report and everything. He not only went through my car, he went through about 7 other cars and even broke into some others and stole all kinds of stuff from 7 or 8 people in that apartment complex. I still got the video on my phone saved to this day of this guy going from car to car, trying to see which ones were open and which ones weren't, and ganked me. I missed the whole tournament, and I've never been to India to this day because of that incident. And I wanted to go to Hyderabad, no matter what people.
We gotta do an Indian trip. I know you wanted to go so bad.
I just wanted to go to India, but yep.
Experience some,
that was
food poisoning.
That was a major mishap. It
happens, but Bas, I gotta know yours because I don't know how you can mess up. You're like an astrophysicist.
Nah, yeah. So look, I don't think this might not be a mess up by me. It might be more deliberate than that. Anyway,
Deliberate.
Yeah. Look, let me first say that I've been a part of organizing teams for big events, World Tours, Challengers, and sometimes you just especially the first times, you have to learn and you have to take your lumps to try to get a great tournament out.
Yeah.
I've made some mistakes organizing, and I won't share them here, but as a first-time organizer, a very first-time organizer, you're bound to make some mistakes. So, I play in the very first Challenger out in Lithuania. Love the fellas out there, what they put together, but that first Challenger was a wild one. It was in Kaunas. We flew into the city. I was very excited. It's a big basketball city. There's, Arvydas Sabonis is from there. There's so much stuff there as far as basketball history. And I was like, all right, let's do this. Let's go. Our bus from the airport hits the city, drives past the gym, and they're like, yeah, there will be playing there tomorrow. I'm like, all right, cool. And the bus keeps driving and driving and driving, and we go outside the city. And it keeps driving even further, and we get to the woods. And mind you, and you guys might not notice about me, but I lived in the Shenandoah Valley in Virginia. So, I know when you drive too far into the woods, that's not a place you want to be.
No, you in the sticks, bro. Yeah, you in.
What you doing out here, man?
That's when people with only overalls on and a piece of straw sticking out of their mouth tell you to get
1, 2.
They tell you to get, and then you just have to leave. Anyway. We keep driving into these woods, and I'm like, all right, well, this is a former part of Russia, so there probably are some bears here, but cool, let's do this. We end up driving for 40 minutes into this forest area, and they drop us off at what I can only describe as a camp. There's log cabins, and we're on like a patch of like a meadow. There's a river in the back, and there's more woods, and there's this one big building. And I'm like, is there people in there? And they're like, nah, it's just for you guys, so they don't open. I'm like, all right, sure. They drop us off, and then they just leave. And that's it. So we sit there, and we go, and we're the first team there, right? So we get our key, we get into the log cabin. That log cabin is tiny. I mean, I'm talking me and so we're playing Amsterdam, right? So Aaron and Di Meo are on the bottom. Aaron Riet, Di Meo van der Horst, former teammates of mine, they're on the bottom in this small-ass bedroom with the 2 of them. Yeah. And then there's a really small living room, and then on top of that, there's like a ladder. On top of that, there's 2 more beds. Me and Sjoerd van Wilser are up top there. There's a bathroom in there, but you can only imagine 4 dudes in a room like that. Bathroom, terrible. Anyway, so we've been traveling. So at some point, I call the organizer and I'm like, "Are you guys getting us any food?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, we forgot food, huh? Okay, we should order you some pizzas, but they'll be here tonight and until tonight. And we're talking 11 in the morning until tonight. Yeah, you go figure it out on your own." Like, alrighty. Good thing one of my teammates had a former coach that lived close by, a Lithuanian guy that coached in the Netherlands. So we call him up. He drives us to this town over, which is where a year before LaMelo Ball played. So they had a LeVar Ball pizza, which is awesome.
Wow.
Anyway, so we get some food there. We get a pack of cards. We get something to drink with a little bit of alcohol in it, and we just kind of kick it out there on the meadow. We play some cards. We play some football. We kind of just hang out, right? And it was fun. It was a great day. So that's the mishap by the LOC. Now, all the other teams come in. They take the further away log cabins. And at night, again, they told us they'd come in with some pizza. So a delivery guy shows up to our log cabin carrying about 40 pizzas. All the teams would get a bunch of them. And we accept the pizzas. And, I'm not very proud to share this, but we may or may not have kept most of them.
Bas, y'all dirty.
Bas, you really?
Bas, y'all dirty. Bas,
We were
y'all
trying to
dirty
win.
for that.
We were trying to win.
Trying to win like that?
So I think we shared like one pizza with each other team. So they'd only have like 2 slices of pop. And we kept most of the pizzas with us.
You see that?
Like, there's a competitive edge for us.
They starved them out, bro. Vince, they starved them out, bro. Come on, man.
So again, not too proud of this, but I camped out in the woods in Lithuania and stole pizzas from other teams.
This is
Maybe.
incredible.
That turned from an LOC mishap to a Team Amsterdam mishap, Bas.
Well, that was let me save my teammates here. That was my choice and my choice only. I had to defend myself against them as well, but we still did it.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
This is actually becoming a lot more detailed than I thought, but I love these stories because people don't know what happens behind closed doors. So 3x3 is a dog-eat-dog world, ladies and gentlemen. You got to know, some of these players would try everything to win. On the flip side, when you're playing over 15 minutes, everybody just stops and can pass out immediately. So there's a lot of things going in. But now, this could be a real quick one because we've been about an hour. I want to see how long we're going to go. But I have to know your favorite place to travel, though. Bas, you were talking about being stuck in the woods. What was your favorite place to travel? And it could be either a player or a commentator.
So my favorite place to travel, I just love traveling the world. And I think, Kyle, you're right there with me. But I'm very happy to be experiencing all these places, these cultures. And it was very hard for me to pick one. So I'm going to go with a couple ones that meant a lot to me personally, just because I like to hang out with the players or because I like the city so much. I'll start with, I played a challenger in Edmonton, hung out with Steve Sir for a day. That was really cool. He took us out to a bunch of bars, and we had a great time out there, even though I think we ended up coming in 4th or something. But that was one memorable trip for me for sure. As a player, I think from a broadcasting perspective, I had never been to Hong Kong until the World Tour Finals this year, and I fell in love with that city. That was amazing to me. I walked around there, and Kyle, and Vince, you might not notice about me, but I have I have good social anxiety, enough of it to prevent me from going out at times.
Really?
And in Hong Kong, yeah, man, I get looked at all the time. I'm 7 foot tall. I don't want to be outside all that much. Sometimes I do, but in Hong Kong, I was like, I'm not. I'm going. I gotta do stuff here.
Yeah.
And I'm very happy that they have a World Tour this year. Actually, I did like the Vienna World Cup a lot. Vienna was a
dope city.
Very dope.
And that venue was crazy. Yeah.
And I think lastly, Japan, man. You gotta go Japan. Japan is awesome. Utsunomiya, wonderful city. Yeah, but Tokyo in general, just But I can keep going, man, with this. I've been to Mongolia a couple times, and now we get to go there for the World Cup. So there's so many places, though.
Well, that was going to be
Japan.
Vince, you're going to be there. Man, people ask me. This is probably the number one question people ask me. What's your favorite place?
Yeah.
It is so hard to decide. I'm just going to name some that stick out to me. Lausanne, Switzerland, to me, is one of the most beautiful cities that I've ever traveled to.
Yes.
off of Lake Lemon with the Alps, and you go through that city. You walk along the coast of the lake, and incredible, all the cafes and the charm of the little villages along the way, and the wine region, incredible. Um, Abu Dhabi. Have you ever seen the sunset in the desert?
No.
Have Have you ever seen like in the desert in the Middle East,
Yeah.
in Abu Dhabi? I went on this tour where they feed you dinner and there's belly dancers, and then they cut off all the lights. It's pitch black. I have never seen the sky that beautiful anywhere on the planet in my life. It was incredible. I rode four-wheelers and randomly came up on like 15 camel running through the desert. Look, I'm gonna get a clip and we got to include it in this podcast. But literally, I'm riding along, and like 12 camels are just galloping through the fucking sand. Just fucking. So that would be one place. A new ad of one of the most amazing places I've been was Mongolia this year. I went to Ulaanbaatar, and shout out to Monster Deck. Delganyam Davasambu, he and his family welcomed us into their steppe. I think that's how you call it. Yes, and we're in this like tent, and we're eating all this traditional food, and we're having some Mongolian alcoholic, just one or two beverages, and we're riding horses.
What? They put you on a horse?
Riding horses to the top of the mountain. It was me and some staff members and some players. Worthy was there. He wasn't. He was drinking only water. I just want to say that. And no, it was surreal. It was absolutely surreal. Cebu, Philippines. Went out to Oslo. Swam with whale sharks. Like, look,
I'm
man.
still upset I never got to play in any of those Filipino world tours. Like, oh
Really?
my goodness, never been.
I spent 2 weeks in Manila with Noah Lazarus, and we made music, shot a music video, Hoop Dreams, and that's another beautiful place, man. It just goes, it
goes
can keep
on.
going. It goes on and on and on and on.
I love it because we always find something good.
I haven't been to South America yet, though.
Oh,
We were
so-
supposed
I
we were
still
supposed to
haven't
go.
either.
We were supposed to go to Chile one year. Didn't work out. We were supposed to go to Rio de
I remember
Janeiro.
Sao Paulo.
Sao Paulo.
Sao
yes,
Paulo.
yeah.
I hadn't been there yet, but I've been to a lot of really beautiful places, in Europe and obviously Canada. So Montreal. Me and you, Vince.
Yeah,
We've been a couple corners in Montreal.
Yeah,
right?
Montreal was fun. Oh, yay.
So
Yay.
yeah, those are some of my favorite places. I'm sure I'm leaving some out, and I'm gonna hear about it. I'm certain.
We'll talk about it throughout the podcast, so for sure. Yeah, you can go on and on, like to different places, and especially the amount of stops each has, the women's series and the world tour. I have my countries, and I'm gonna keep saying it until FIBA 3 gets annoyed. I told them straight up, take me to Tokyo. For the first time, I'll wash drawers, okay? I'll wash underwear. I just want to go. I just want to go for free. It's certain in my... But I won't say no more because they'll take it on OD. Like, oh, you going to wash them drawers? We're going to wash them drawers. You're going to wash them socks. You're going to wash the hairy man's back. The man that didn't take a shower.
Boy.
Like, hey,
Oh,
Mrs. Spot,
boy.
I'm not even
The
using body
heavy
wash. I'm
man's
using head and
back.
shoulders.
They got to go to sumo practice and watch the fellas.
Got like a broom. But anyway, but now I want to hit it because this is what again, me as a comedian, we always have like if you fell down on stage, you mumble the word, or like your pants fall up, whatever. But embarrassing story being on the tour. Bas, I'm gonna let you kick it off. 'Cause I think you have a good one.
Now, it doesn't have to be about me though, right?
And no, it could be just embarrassing story. Just
All
gotta be
right,
about you.
cool. Because
Just-
I don't have too many embarrassing stories, as I'm a cool dude in general. Anyway,
okay.
just saying. I got a good one. So I took a little break in my 3x3 career, came back in 2016. Talked about that, I think, last podcast. And, I played a tournament in Amsterdam. And, 3 weeks later, I'm in Chengdu, China,
Okay.
in a challenger. And the challenger, we play it out. Michael Money in the Bank Hicks wins the challenger, actually. and they have a local sponsor, some wine bar, and as you do in 3x3, you play hard and then you party somewhat hard. So, and I'm going to refrain from naming names here, but this is a story that's worth telling. So we go to this wine bar. All the players go, right? So I don't think anybody is not going. Everybody's out there chilling, hanging out, drinking. After a while, the juices are flowing. We end up, the owner for the wine bar goes, I got you guys VIP at a club. And we go to this club, and I kid you guys not, this was the most lit club I have ever been in my entire life. There were fireworks inside. I have no idea how this happened. But we walk into this club, there's pyrotechnics, there's fireworks, everything popping. They put us right at the edge of the dance floor with 2 tables, stand-up tables, filled with vodka and orange juice. And they just say, go ahead. And those, every time one of these jugs emptied, they would come bring a new one. And I didn't pay a dime. So I'm out there, and again, I have a well-trained liver, but there's certain limits to the human body. I handled myself well that night. Certain other people did not. So there's an American DJ there, and he goes at some point in this state of inebriation. He goes, "Let's do a dance battle." He brings out 2 Chinese breakdancers, and he's like, "The group of basketball players out there. Anybody want to be a part of this?" And 2 fellas, and again, I'm not going to name any names, 2 fellas step up, well-known guys. They step up to the plate. The first basketball player, let's call him player A, and the other one player B. Player A goes, and again, well drunk at this point, starts doing the worm, and then starts shaking on the floor, doing all these crazy dance moves, has on a white t-shirt, right? So he pops up all of a sudden, whips his t-shirt inside out, puts it back on, chugs a beer, walks away. Cool. That was amazing. So the Chinese breakdancers go, and these guys are pros. They are good. They are out there doing moves, pop lock, and everything, stuff that I don't have the capability of doing whatsoever, as my hips are fused together, so I can't move what. Kyle's probably not seen me dance ever, and I've been around the fella for a long, long time.
I need to see that.
Just make sure you get a whole table of vodka and orange juice. Anyway, so both breakdancers go. They're really nice. Player B pops up, and this is a fella that a lot of people in 3x3 basketball have maybe similar stories on him. And again, I'm not naming names, but he gets up, and he's very theatrical about his stuff. Takes off his shirt. Kind of stands there on the dance floor looking at everybody, takes his shoes off, takes his socks off. DJ's building up the beat, and as the beat drops his pants. Stands there butt-ass naked.
Yep. I already
butt
know
ass
who this
naked.
is. I know who this
I know
is.
you know. I
Yep.
know you know.
I know who this is.
Stands there and has all of it hanging out in front of the world, and just puts his hands on his hips and kind of just alpha males the entire room. That lasts for about 5 seconds, and then in flying comes a security guard, sideways tackles this dude and starts wrestling him on the floor. Mind you, the guy is still
with his pants
naked.
down.
Butt naked.
My
So there's a
God.
security guard and a bunch of human flesh just fighting on the ground. And look, and we ended up somehow keeping him in the club and had a great night afterwards. But I will never, ever, ever forget that night, because I've never seen a human being get tackled that hard without pads.
I hope it wasn't cold. I hope it wasn't cold inside that club for his sake.
It was not.
Hey,
I don't know. We talked and talked
Vince,
and talked, and the security at some point just said, "You know what? Just stay."
Vince, you don't know this, but this particular person that he's speaking of is notorious for pulling this very same move out. This man can't keep his clothes on in a dance environment.
Nope.
Everything's coming off at some point, and it starts with the shirt.
Yep.
And when the shirt comes, you know the bottoms. The
rest
bottoms,
is going
The
very
rest
soon.
is coming very soon.
Oh
I
my
know he's-
goodness.
We'll
Okay,
talk about it.
my most embarrassing one is more PG than that. Well, there's the coach of France, Karim Sochou. He's played ball at a high level, played on the national team, plays college ball in the USA, and still in good shape. He's a real hooper.
Uh-oh.
At this time, I was still in fairly good physical condition. This was before I broke my wrist and my ankle, and I wanted to get a piece of Kareem. We were in Debrecen, and we're gonna play 3 versus 3 on the practice court. And I go out there, and somehow people have heard about the chitter chatter between us two. And there's like a crowd of people that have shown up to like watch us kind of go against each other. And I'm pretty confident that I'm going to at least be able to hold my own, not that I'm going to be able to kill him. But anyway, we start playing 3x3. Julian DeBove was there. He'll remember this one because he stopped being my friend after this game because Sochou proceeded to destroy me on the basketball court in ways that I hadn't felt before. The man was all right. So I'm 6'3", he's 6'7", but I still take pride in my strength. And when I tell you that this man absolutely ragdolled me for an entire game, when I tell you he was talking so much shit to me and hitting shots on me left and right. It wasn't just beating me up in the paint. He was hitting twos on me, mid-range, talking noise. There was women out there, women and children and friends of mine who went from my side of the fan section to his by the end of the game. I was so embarrassed. I never told him this, but I was so embarrassed that I literally could not do a thing with him. Not a thing. I would foul him, he would still score. I think he ended up scoring, we went to 21. I think he ended up scoring like maybe 13 on me, 13 or 14 on me. And the rest of the buckets was just because he felt bad for me. And I hung my head in shame that night. And I went back over to the hotel across the street.
Humble.
And that was probably 6 years ago. And to this day, Kareem Sochou holds this above my head. And it's not. The next game we played, he hardly guarded me. I scored like 10 points off free shots. That's the only thing I can say back. But yeah,
how the tables have turned. Because I look. Let me add to this story.
Yeah.
These two fellas picked up a Wilson 3x3 ball and only a few months ago to play one-on-one.
Yes, we did.
Really?
And this was, and I kid you not, VC, the worst game of one-on-one basketball I have ever seen in my life. Dear Lord.
Who won it? But who won it, though?
I think you did, but sure.
And I hit it. For the game winner, Vince, I hit him. I went beast on him. Dropped the shoulder, went up strong off the glass. Game.
Yeah, and this is after 15 minutes of both fellas being so tired that they would take a shot from 2 unguarded while the other guy was playing defense with their words, as they were literally just saying, you can't hit.
He said playing defense with their words.
I gotta use that, boss. Please use that on a project. Yo, he's playing defense with his words.
It was literally like Kareem would pick up the ball, dribble to the 2-point arc. Kyle would just stand there looking at him saying, you ain't hitting this. Then Kareem would break the shot. Kyle would get the rebound, dribble out. Kareem would stick around to his side of the court and say, this is not a make. And that went on for 10 minutes. I kid you not.
This is what happens when 2 dudes over 40 are trying to play a young man's game at a physical level. But I came out victorious. I'm glad you brought that up, boss. Take that, Kareem. Take that with you.
We also need when we get the 3 horsemen, out on the 3x3 circuit, we're gonna have a ball, which I can't wait. Well,
did you say we're gonna have a bald? No.
A ball, man. Just stop making fun of my hair. Hey, man,
Get him,
don't be shooting at me.
Your
okay,
hair.
you know what?
I skipped like 3.
Where?
I skipped like 3 tries. You said I'm an uncle. Like you got the haircut of an uncle for sure. Like
Vince don't got a haircut. He got a wear cut.
Okay, first of all.
Me and Kyle, the one with kids,
Where?
but you the one losing hair. It's like,
Where's that?
You know what? I'm just gonna take these shots real quick because I know how to get both of y'all. Okay, but hey,
That's clippable. Vince's hair is not.
That was the funniest joke you ever said, Kyle. It's never coming again. Oh my god. You see what they do to me? You see what they do to me? Oh my god. Oh man. Okay. All right, old man. All right, old man. You know what? Both of y'all can kiss my ass. That's a joke. Yes, I'm proud of my baldness, man. Damn, man. Okay.
All right.
We
Sorry.
go back to the
needed
interview.
I needed that. Oh boy.
All right, Vince,
That's
go
good.
ahead. My bad.
Now I need to know this. This may be the ending of this this episode. Scariest moment on tour. We have mishaps, we have a bad, but sometimes things get scary and you're like, I don't know how I'm gonna make it home. Like, cause we're being from different countries. We have Amsterdam, America. You never know. Ooh, yeah. I mean, I'm gonna let you. Who wants to go first for that one?
I think we're gonna have a story from the same tournament. I think I'll let Kyle go last, and I'll go first. And I'm not gonna spoil your story. I'm gonna take a different part of this.
Okay.
So one of the scary places we used to have to go to me, and it was also beautiful, by the way, was Mexico City. Mexico City is a huge metropolis, and I'm talking 15 million people, maybe 20 million people live there.
Wow.
But there's also militias driving through the streets with carts and like guns, and like there's visible, signs of violence. I've seen multiple people get hit by a car and just cars keep driving and nobody gives a damn. Like it's a wild place.
Right.
And mind you, the tournament used to be at a mall, and our hotel used to be right next to the mall, so you don't have to go into the city.
Sewer.
Yes, Petty Sewer Mall, and the hotel was literally a walk across a bridge from there, and it was only a 5-minute walk. You didn't have to go far. But you do want to go out in the city and experience some of the local culture. So especially there, you go to the Mexican pyramids, and you go to all these. There's a blue neighborhood with Amsterdam Street, and like it's beautiful. Okay. But one year, first of all, I shouldn't have even been there, because I wasn't even playing in the tournament. I was supposed to play. Coach selected me, and then I played in Lausanne, and I didn't play as well, and he pulled me from the Mexico World Tour, and I was like, well, F you then. Get me a ticket, because you promised me I'd go. Because especially that year, that was the year Die Mail van der Horst and Aurier came on, I didn't get that many opportunities, so I was pissed. I was really pissed, and I was like, you better get me a damn ticket. Now, he got me a ticket, first of all. He never got me a hotel room, so I had to sleep on the floor. But as kind of this team building thing, we went to what the internet, proclaimed to be the Venice of Mexico City. We take a taxi for a long, long drive. We get to this back neighborhood, like seedy area where I'm like, I have no idea. People are looking at us like, look at these 4 dudes or 5 dudes that look like they have some money in their pockets that should be ours. I'm 7 foot tall. There's no camouflage in me, right? So, and I'm out there looking very touristy in an area where there's no tourists to be found. We walk into this alleyway. We get to what I can only describe as a very brown little canal. It's not smelling great either. And we ask around, and they're like, hey, here's where you pay, and then you get on the boat. I'm like, all right, sure, let's get on the boat. So we pay the dude with the cash that we have. Luckily enough, we just taken the cash just to pay the guy. We pay the dude. We get on the boat. They not told us that all the stuff on the boat, like there would be, stuff offered to you, would also cost you money. We did not have any money. There's no ATM. There's no credit card payments. And there's like 15 mariachi bands just coming on boats, driving past us, playing a song, and then whenever we tell them like we don't have money, they look at us like they really want to shank us.
Yeah.
Then people come up to us with food. They put food on a plate in front of us. They put it in our mouths, and then pause. we just we sit there and we tell them, look, sorry fellas, we don't have any money. And to make things worse, obviously we look like they could shake us for a little bit more. So we get off the boat and they're like, you still owe us X amount. And we're like, we paid up front. And they're like, no, that's the upfront charge. Now you have to pay the afterwards charge. And we're like, all right, so we're going to really fight these guys here in this neighborhood where we don't know anyone? Or are we just going to get some more money? And I didn't know what to do, man. So that was one of the scariest moments I've had, where I just kind of sat there and I was like, somebody take me home. Like, why the hell did I get on this plane? So, yeah.
What happened? Did you get more money? Did you run?
We got some money. We paid them, and then we just took a cab home and just sat in our hotel room depressed because we had all our money spent. And we didn't win any.
Okay. That is scary, though. That's scary to be in a crap river. But
my scariest moment was decidedly different than that one, in the same city.
Yeah,
but I'll throw this one I'll throw this one as a bonus. In San Juan, Puerto Rico, 2 years ago, I was at a quest, and a hurricane hit the island.
Challenger.
Yes, Challenger. Right, hurricane hit the island. We were maybe 2 or 3 games into the day. First of all, they moved the venue from outdoors to indoors because of the weather threat. Then we just hear a big announcement of the intercom in this mall that everybody needed to evacuate the mall immediately. It was no time. So players are grabbing their stuff, staff is grabbing their stuff, everybody's trying to get back to the hotel. Luckily, we were so far inland that we didn't experience the really high wind, but on the coast, they got some pretty bad damage. That was a couple of years ago. That was a really scary moment. But back to Mexico City, where my story, this was one of the scariest moments of my life. I was here. Yes. So we went to Mexico City every year for maybe my first 5 years, 4 to 5 years. And there was a common spot in downtown Mexico City that players and staff would go to. We'd hang out. We let our hair down, talk about the tournament. There was good music, some drinks. It was cool. It was like, that was the place we would go. This particular time, same as usual. I'm there having a good time. And me and a player, not to be named, we're just rapping about the tournament. And we're standing in front of this club, and a police car pulls up to the curb. We think nothing of it. But these policemen get out, and they're not smiling. They also aren't speaking English. But they're approaching me and this player. And we're like, what is this shit? They're coming to us speaking Spanish. And we're saying, we no speak Spanish, right?
No habla español.
Right. So anyway, they force us to go to the police car and put our hands on the back of the car. We're like, yo, dude, they got us mischaracterized. They think we're somebody that we're not. They go through our pockets, they search us and everything, take our wallets and our phones out, put it on the back of the car. By this time, it's, people have taken notice. Locals have taken notice. Some of the players are taking notice, and they're saying, yo, these guys are here for a basketball tournament. Like, what are y'all doing? But they speak no English. So I'm thinking, because, look, they searched us. We got nothing. We're clean. We got people defending us around us that, like, this is going to end soon. Little did I know it was not going to end soon. They put me and this player in the back of the police car. They pushed our heads down, and we're in the back of the police car. And I just remember looking out the back window and seeing all these people that I know getting smaller and smaller, and everybody is flabbergasted. Nobody knows what is going on, including us. Now, I done been in some crazy situations, but I don't think I've ever been this afraid in my life, because I'm in a foreign land. These policemen don't speak English, And we have no idea why they even put us in the car to begin with. So they drive for maybe 5 to 10 minutes. They pull off, and this is like off of a movie. On the side of this building, hardly any street lights. The player with me, he's in panic. He's completely lost it. And I'm from the hood. So I'm trying to plan like, yo, we might have to fight these cats, man. Yeah. Yo, hey, listen.
Put some hands on them.
If we got to run, are you going to run? I'm trying to make sure that me and him are on the same page. Anyway, they pull over. They get out in the front of the police car. We're in the back. We don't have handcuffs on, but we can't move our feet, and there's no way we can get out. And they're sitting on the front of the car, smoking a cigarette, talking to each other. Finally, they come back to the back of the car with a cell phone message, and they say, you think that you can sell drugs in Mexico? And we said, no, sir. We're definitely not. We're not selling any drugs in Mexico. We text back. We're basketball players. Mm-hmm. They read it, go back to the front for another 5 minutes. Finally, they come back to the car, and they very aggressively tell us to get out of the car. Now, mind you, they had taken our wallets and our cell phones when they first searched us back at the club. They get out, and they toss us our wallet. They toss him his cell phone. They don't give me my cell phone. So I knew this in Spanish. I said, "Telefono, por favor." Telephone. And he says something like, get out of here.
Yeah.
I'm just glad I'm free. Glad I'm free. I got my wallet at least. So me and this player, not to be named, just start, running back in a direction. We have no idea where we're at. We just start running back in the direction of where we thought we came from. We're walking, and I'm checking, my wallet, and I happen to have like $200 in there. He also had some money in his. I'm checking. I noticed that the money in my wallet is gone. And I stopped. And I said, yo, did you have any money? And he says, yeah, I had like 60 or 70 euros. I said, check your wallet. He checks his wallet. His money is gone as well. And right then and there, it just clicked. We realized we had just been robbed. We walked for another 10 minutes, and we recognized the street that we're on. We start walking down the street, and there's still a frenzy out in front of this club. And there's a bunch of players and a bunch of people. Bas was out there, and they see us coming. And everybody's like, oh, whoa, what was that? Where'd they take y'all? So we get back, and it's kind of like we're relieved, and it's kind of celebratory amongst the people that saw us. But we were scared out of our minds. I called the embassy. I said, they stole my phone. They took our money. They said, sir, did you get a badge number? Do you have any information? I said, no. They said, this happens all the time here. If you're a tourist, you have to be very careful. There's stories that are worse than yours. There have been some officers that have picked people up and taken them to the ATM and forced them to take out everything they could take out. So consider yourselves almost lucky. And look, you don't want to be getting put in jail in Mexico. You might not see the light of day.
No, goodness. We've all seen Prison Break. No way.
For me, it was not only the scariest moment I've been in 3x3, but maybe debatably the scariest moment of my life.
I don't think I've ever seen you as shook as back then.
Yo,
you're the guy that's not easily shaken, man.
No, I don't.
And you and the player both came back shaking.
I was like this.
Yeah.
Bas, we didn't know if we was gonna make it home, bro.
No, I know. And the worst thing is they try to blame, selling drugs on this. And if you go to that club and you go into the bathroom, there's a guy out there just slinging bags, just juggling them shits. Like, oh, you want to get some drugs? Yeah. Like, all right. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that was I knew you were going to tell this story because I've never seen you that shaken up ever.
Craziest thing Man, me and this player not to be named. He's my guy. We will never. We'll be bonded with that incident for a lifetime.
Yep.
Crazy, insane situation, man. But Mexico City, I still got love for y'all. I still got, because I've had some great times in Mexico City as well.
Yeah.
Federales. So, but that's the thing.
Batman, da-da-da-da-da-da-da, Batman. Never mind.
All we know is 3x3 has brought players together. There's stories that can be shared, and we're still in the genesis of it. I mean, just think about how it's going to be expanded. We have that world tournament that's going to be happening. So imagine things that's going to happen from there. But see, this is stuff that happens behind closed doors, ladies and gentlemen. Y'all don't know what these players and commentators go through, but that's what makes it so much fun, but lively of 3x3. I mean, yeah, thank you for sharing these stories.
Just wait until you get your stories, VC. We'll get you some.
I got a couple. I already got a few, but not. I like very, very scarce. I only have three.
The last scariest story was when Bas decided to go streaking, and he went streaking in Switzerland one time.
I don't know how true this is because Bas has that face.
Man, I've never seen that much flesh.
What?
In my life. And it was dark. So it was nighttime. So it was a big ass white streak. It's like a blur, just running along.
It was because of the rainstorm, man. I just think nobody could see the way, so I figured I'd light the way for people. NASA called afterwards, and they said they saw something.
The abominable snowman running through Switzerland. It was crazy, bro.
Was it also cold? Was it cold, Kyle? Did you notice it?
Lac Le Mans is notoriously cold.
Yep, that's the excuse we'll use, at least. Okay, Vince, let me interrupt. I'm sorry. Just for a second, because we promised we would get the fan question or comment in this week. We got to do it. This one comes from @PonyMac. Thank you, @PonyMac, for watching the show. We appreciate your question, which is there a 3x3 country that you would like to see more active in 3x3? It's a great question. Thank y'all. And keep them coming, by the way. Shout out Pony Mac. Bas, is there a 3x3 country you'd like to see more active?
Yes. There are plenty of basketball countries that we haven't seen much from yet. Just to name a few, Spain has some teams, but we haven't seen them perform all that well. Now, USA, as of the last 2 years, have performed well, but I don't think we've tapped out the talent there.
Yeah.
But to me, a sleeping giant in the game is Australia.
Oh, really?
We've seen the women's team come together over the last few years and have some nice results. But on the men's side, it's been limited to the Asia Cup, but they haven't come on to the World Tour. They haven't, or at least not much anyways. And I know there's some people out there working hard. Shout out to, CLB. They're doing some stuff in the XE leagues, and they're sending teams to challengers and world tours now. One of the teams from their programs came into Macau, I believe, this year. But I think when you look at the basketball talent that country has, we have not seen the level of talent that they can bring to 3x3 just yet. And I think if they get serious about this game, and it's tough for them because I've talked to some people out there. Their leagues are structured differently, so they're always kind of in time constraints when it comes to 3x3, and playing full-time 3x3 is, obviously going to make you less money than playing full-time pro basketball in Australia. But I do think that that's a country that if I could name a sleeping giant, that's one.
Okay, I'm going to go with, let's see, I just looked up the top 20 most beautiful vacation destinations in the world. And I'm going to go with Belize. Belize. Where you at, Belize? Belize. Please, listen. We need to come there and have a 3x3 tournament. I hope y'all developing y'all talent. It might be a place I want to see. So yeah, I'm gonna put Belize out there.
Man, take it seriously,
Belize.
man.
No, but I mean,
South America then though, because you haven't been.
Okay,
anywhere South America.
Let me do mine then. Let me do mine then, because you're being a fool. Honestly, it's the Caribbean. Like, I want to see Jamaica, Haiti, Barbados, St. Vincent's. I know there's talent there, but it's very hard for them to leave the island to get in certain cuts. We do see them in the AmeriCup a lot, because again, it's right there in Miami. But I think if they can get the funding and the federations are more supportive, and especially with 3x3 growing, I think we see a lot more talent from the Caribbean islands. Like, I don't know about you, I would love to see at least one of them get a medal, and Soca comes out of nowhere. Masha Montano says, waiting on the stage. Like, that would be like one of my dreams. I think Caribbean. And also, Africa. Africa has so much talent out there. They just got a new, professional basketball league that's been associated with the NBA.
True, but that's vast, Vince. We're talking
It
about a
is vast.
continent,
I know this is so.
not a
He
country.
just grabs a whole bunch of countries and he's like, let's go.
Right.
But yeah,
Right.
but Jamaica, Barbados, Haiti, and again, like that little pocket right there in our side of the world, I would love to see them more on the tour, not just doing World Cups and events just with the countries, like actually on a tour. And I think that there should be some more talent.
Just to appease you, Vince, here's a serious one for you. New Zealand, and they have been active, and they have been a player in the Asia Cup, and they have put together some respectable teams. So, New Zealand and Belize. Hey, thanks for taking point guard today, Vince Chang. You did a good job. Can we put in the applause cue for Vince taking point guard? Listen. Please continue to be active with us, y'all. We want y'all to make sure y'all follow us on all social media platforms. That is at Word on the Street. Replace the E's with the threes. Keep looking out for us. We got more pods coming your way. As you can see, we're authentic. We're having fun. We're talking about 3x3 in a way that nobody else is. So that's it for episode 3. For Bas, for Vince, I'm Kyle. We'll see y'all in a couple of weeks on Word on the Street. Peace. Y'all be safe.